Hi! On the Woodpecker today, I was supposed to start my series on the construction of this chest of drawers. But instead,
we build this new outhouse.
in my last episode, you saw that our outhouse was crooked. Renée and I straightened it. But when we fixed the floor, we saw that the whole thing was all rotten. So we decided to build a brand new one. This time around, the base will be made of concrete. This will stay straight for the rest of our lives. So before we left for the cottage, Renée painted the corners, trims, and also all the exterior planks. At the cottage, we brought a lot of stuff. More than usual. Not only in the pickup box, but also a full trailer. We begin by removing the wood from the trailer. When that's done, it's time for the mini towable backhoe that I bought second-hand for this project. This excavator moves on simple wheels that I have to put on after removing the transport feet I made. When that's done, I move it out of the way. The next day, we brush cut the road that goes to the sand pit. When the road is wide enough for my pickup, we shoveled some sand. Back at the cottage, I remove the bags and buckets, and Renée empties the barrel on the ground. Then we refill it. Getting sand in the barrel means shoveling it 3 times. But at least now we have enough for all our needs. For the rocks, it's quite simple because we have a couple of bags behind the outhouse. We picked them up several years ago. It's the perfect time to use them. Okay, when I said a couple, I meant close to 20 bags. But at least we will have enough. The next day is the first demolition day. Renée picks up the rocks all around the outhouse while I remove the roofing. I'm going to recycle a lot of materials, so I'm super careful how I tear this apart. When the roof is off, it's time for the roof's planks. Before going any further, I remove everything inside. It's strange to see it naked like that. Now I can remove all the exterior planks. Renée removes the nails. At the back, I have a surprise, because some of the insulation is missing. In fact, it's all here. A squirrel used it for its nest. After several hours, there are no more planks on the outside, and I can remove the door frame. I realize quite quickly that for that I need to remove the trusses. After cutting the nails, it's easy going. Then I can remove the inside planks. Here I'm more careful because I plan to reuse all of those planks. Here's what our outhouse looks like at the end of the day. The next morning, we finished tearing it apart. Those cedar pieces are the only ones that I will keep from the base. They are the ones I installed 2 weeks ago. This is all that's left of our nice outhouse. It's time to get my new excavator. Since it has no motorized wheels, I have to crawl. When I'm near the shower, I have a small problem, because the wheels can't get by. I don't want to cut down this tree, so I remove the wheels and put back the transport feet. Moving without the wheels is way harder than I expected, but I manage anyway. After I get by the shower, I can put the wheels back on again. When I'm where I want to dig, I remove the front transport feet, put the working feet in place, and start digging a hole about 10 feet to the right of the old outhouse. From time to time, I need to get rid of the roots. I was not expecting to find such a huge rock there. My excavator is able to lift it, but I have no place to put it. I'm forced to cut down a tree. With it out of the way, I'm able to move the rock away. I would never have been able to move this rock out of there by myself without the excavator. At the end of the day, this is all the dirt I dug up. I managed to make a 7-foot deep hole. The next day, I start by greasing the joints of my machine and then dig inside the old outhouse. The clean soil goes to the left, and the dirty stuff goes inside the hole I dug the day before. But an hour and a half later, I have a huge problem. A hose rubbed on the frame and burst. We have to go back to civilization to replace it. On our way, we met a young moose. It's obvious it doesn't see humans often, because we were about 8 feet from it. To get this hose, we had to drive almost 8 hours for 500 kilometers. The next day, I changed the hose. It's quite easy. I add some oil and I can start to dig again. But not for long. They didn't use the right fitting and the hose popped out of its socket about an hour later. We have to head back to town. But this time, we went to another store and we drove for 622 kilometers. It took us 8 hours and a half. After reinstalling the hose and refilling the oil, I'm back in business. Since I can't move a lot, I need to dig the corners by hand. I managed to dig a 69 inches deep hole. Now I can cut some wood to make the foundation form. I nail it together. I just need to put it inside the hole. The next day, we're ready to pour the foundation. So it's time to fire up the mixer. As you can see, our daughter came with her family to give us some help. So while I'm taking care of mixing the concrete, Eric is pouring it. With two of us, the job didn't take very long. I have the feeling that cleaning the mixer took more time than pouring it. Now we just need to wait for the concrete to cure. During this time, we can take care of cleaning some concrete blocks. In all, we cleaned 140 blocks. The next day, after removing the form, we're ready to install them. This time around, I mix the mortar by hand. Then I can start laying down the blocks. After making 3 rows, I get out of the hole and mix more mortar, while Eric is laying down the rest of the blocks. In one morning, all the blocks are in place, which gives the chance to our daughter to go on a canoe ride to the great sadness of Louis. But they took pity on him and came back to him. Who says that you can't have fun with me? The next morning, the first thing we do is to put a liner around the blocks so the dirt won't be able to get in between them. Next, we put back some dirt around them so we don't hurt ourselves for the next step, which is the floor form.
Yes. That's it.
Now that the form is done, it's time to fire up the mixer again. But I have one small incident with the mixer. That's why Renée is turning it by hand. The pulley broke. The rest of it is here. I switched the belt to the next pulley, but it turns a bit fast for my taste. And again, Eric takes care of filling the form. There's not a lot of concrete for the floor, and we finish it with concrete without rocks to get a smooth surface. I spend the rest of the day cutting concrete blocks for the upper part of the base. 1 hour later, I stop and smooth out the floor. Now we're ready for the next day. After removing the forms, I mix mortar again and Eric lays down the blocks. I also scratch some blocks to make sure the mortar will stick to them. Don't forget that all those blocks have been painted before. I really think this is enough. To make sure that the blocks will stay put horizontally, I drill a hole and we pound metal rods into the mortar we filled into the vertical blocks. On top, we lay several blocks to make sure this won't move while the mortar cures. The chimney section gives us a bit of a headache, but we managed to get all the blocks cemented. The next day, our daughter leaves, but we're not done. That's for sure. I scratch the front wall to make sure the tiles will be able to stick to it. This is not pretty, but it will do the job. But like I predicted, the chimney doesn't fit. I have to cut some concrete. This is bothering me, so I'm going to fill it with mortar again. Now I'm happy. I still have some mortar left, so I will fill all the rest. After playing in dirt and concrete for all those days, our clothes are filthy. We need to do some laundry. When I do laundry here, I always appreciate my modern washing machine at home. In the 40s, when this machine was built, it was the best of the best. After putting the clothes to dry, we do a bit of cleaning and more landscaping before we can continue. The next morning, since the concrete is cured enough, I can remove the last part of the form. I really need a ladder to get down there. After removing the screws, I can give it to Renée. I want the last part, the one above the ground, to be waterproof, so I spread some waterproofing stuff inside. I also spread some under the plywood seat. I really love this color. It goes pretty well with our theme. Now that everything is well sealed, I can start to cut some wood. Since I want to reuse all I can from the old outhouse, I have to modify the upper frame. I begin by adding a piece of wood at the back so it will have the new length. I'm going to use this piece of 2x6 to make spacers so the width will be the right one. In fact, I only add wood in between the rafters. I also need to add some space for the new chimney location. Finally, I cut a new notch on each rafter. This was not a very nice day, because we had some showers hourly. In between them, we went out, cut wood, and fixed it to the concrete. Let's say that with all the big rocks I put inside the concrete, drilling in it is quite hard. On the other hand, drilling in concrete blocks is a piece of cake. When I have wood all over the top, I can start to nail the corners. I measure for the back ones and cut them. When the four corners are in place, I lay the old top frame on top and screw it in place. I also screw the door frame. To finish the day, I cut some braces and screw them in place. The next morning, I screw the rafters in place and install the chimney. Next, I start to lay the roof planks in place. When all the planks are in place and I'm satisfied with them, I nail them down. We're missing some central support, but I don't have pieces long enough. I need to fix this. Then I nail this in place. I also nailed some pieces inside so I will be able to nail the inside planks to it. Finally, I can start to cut some wood for the walls. The first cut is at 5 degrees. The next one is straight. After tracing the rafter shape, I cut it. Now I can nail the first plank in place. Using a 6-inch nail as a nail set is not ideal, but I managed for all the planks anyway. Two hours later, I have one wall done. The second wall goes a bit faster. The back wall has a 5-degree cut, but the top is cut at 27 degrees. I finished the back in the dark. I want to protect the outhouse from the rain, so I put back the 15-pound paper I had removed back in place with the help of a flashlight. Lucky for us, because it rained for the next 2 full days, so we stayed inside. I wish I could say that I've started editing this episode during that time, but I had some licensing error. Since I don't have access to the internet, I programmed a word search puzzle generator. Renée uses her time to do more useful things. She painted more Christmas ornaments for our next fairs. When the rain stopped, we went back outside and finished the front planks. Finally, all the planks are in place. Now we need to take care of the corners. All done. The corners are all covered, and since I still have a bit of light, I cut the triangle for the roof ventilation. It's only the next day that I realize that I forgot to install the moldings around the door. Now that it's done, I put back the original metal roof. Since I'm on the roof, I put the chimney cap in place. Then we put back all the insulation we were able to salvage on 2 walls and staple a vapor barrier. Here's what the inside looks like now. The third wall was insulated with leftover insulation from our roof and floor renovations. Okay, it's not insulated like the cottage, but we don't plan to stay in here for very long. Now that it's insulated, we can begin to nail down the walls. We begin with the chimney's corner. To finish all of it, I need to make one rip cut in one original plank. Here it is. All the inside planks are in place. But we need a ceiling. I planned on reusing the original one, but the squirrels peed on it, and well, it smells even worse than what I dug out 2 weeks ago. So I cut a brand new one in a piece of plywood. After making sure that it fits, I stapled some insulation on it and screw it in place. It's now time to put back the original moldings that were inside. Finally, the inside is all in place. The last thing we do is wash the walls. The next morning, before doing anything else, I cut the plywood I had waterproofed before to the size of the seat. After making sure that it fits, I begin to paint the inside. I paint the ceiling and also the old planks. But don't worry. While I do that, Renée sands the door. The white paint was all peeling, so we're going to strip all of it before applying a brand new coat. I'm not done. I have to put another coat of paint on the moldings to hide the heads of the nails. I also repaint the triangular ventilation moldings. While I do that, Renée is still sanding. It is written on the can of paint that 2 hours later I can brush another coat. When I'm done, I take over from Renée on the sander. We scrape the corners together and make the door ready for a brand new coat of paint. As ironic as it sounds, as soon as we're finished removing the paint, I brush a fresh new coat back on it. Now that it's all covered, I need to wait 2 hours before applying the second coat. It's now the ideal time to pick up some wild raspberries for tomorrow's breakfast. As you may have figured out, the next day starts with pancakes. These are all the raspberries we picked up last evening, plus some wild blueberries. Wild raspberries are the best in pancakes. They're tiny, juicy, and tasty. But as soon as I'm finished with my breakfast, I cut some screens for the ventilation holes. A small one against the wasps, and a big tough one for the squirrels. Then I tackle the seat. I use the old one for tracing the shape of the hole and cut it. This is perfect. But we want a molding at the front. After cutting it to the right size, I glue and nail it in place. Then we're ready to cut some tiles. I trace the hole shape and cut it. I begin with the tiles around the hole because they are the toughest of our cuts. The rest will be much simpler. It's even for that I left this strip, because I'm sure I will have many cutoffs to fill it later on. After a couple of hours, we have all the tiles we need, and as you can see, even the strip is covered. But I have one huge problem. On the half-empty glue box I was planning on using is written that it can cover up to 16 square feet, and I have more than that. I know that I have some more here behind a lot of firewood, so we empty part of the woodshed. With all this firewood out of the way, I can access the place where I stored the tile glue. With both those half-empty bags of glue, we will be okay. I just need to mix the first box. I don't have a toothed trowel here, so I'm going to use a regular one. This goes pretty well because all the tiles are already cut to size. One hour later, the 16 tiles are glued and it starts to rain. But the tiles on the seat are not glued. So we bring the panel inside so I can finish the job. Now we just need to wait for the glue to dry. The next morning, I cut some strips of wood to fill the hole under the wall planks. After cutting some leftover tiles, I glue them in place. Then I spend several hours finalizing some small things like painting the seat moldings and brushing some preservative on the other side of the door. This changes its look. I also cut more moldings for the sides of the seat. Now that I know that I have enough moldings, I paint them. Then we put the firewood back in place. All this took long enough, so it's now 24 hours since I've glued the tiles. It means that I can spread some grout. After half an hour, Renée washes the tiles while I lay down some patio tiles so the rain won't splash mud on the new walls. Washing the tiles takes a lot of time, so I wash the seat and we finish the day like that. The next day we put the actual seat in place and I put the whole thing in place. Now I can cut the moldings to their right length and nail them in place. On both sides, I make a round over at the end. Now I can paint the nails and the exposed wood. If one day I need to go down there, I will just have to remove the moldings, but I'm not really expecting to do this anytime soon. Next, we can put back all the stuff that was on the walls. Then comes the biggest surprise of the day, installing the door. I screw the handle back and the hinges, thinking I would simply screw it back in place. But I was wrong. We had to make some modifications. After those modifications, I put the door back as best as I can. I had to remove the moldings so the door could close properly. Now I need to put them back. Finally, I retouched the paint around the moldings. After 21 days, we finally have a functional outhouse. For the next week at the cottage, we take it easy. This is nice. I can finally take my first walk with Louis. This tree was magnificent, but now it's dead. Here you can see the bits that the insects are cutting away and their entry holes. Since this tree is barely a foot from the cottage, I don't take any chances and take it down. After cutting it to pieces, we bring the logs beside the gate so it will be more difficult to pass there. We're going to bring the branches elsewhere. All that's left to do is to remove the stump. After moving the excavator to the parking lot, I enlarge it a bit. After several hours, I managed to add this amount of space. I'm happy. I'll also widen the other side so it will be easier for me to turn the pickup around. Then we need to think about coming back home. So I put the excavator inside the trailer. I didn't have the chance to see a lot of wildlife during our stay, but lucky for us, several came around to see what we were doing. I must admit that this little cat was more exciting than the grouses. This was the construction of our new outhouse. It's a shame that it looks so similar to the old one. We're super happy, because this one will stay straight for way longer than the other. The inside is way prettier and will be much easier to keep it clean. I hope to see you soon for the next episode of The Woodpecker.